Hi, Jim.
Hi, David.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, we're here with Robert from Robert's Guitar Dungeon, the YouTube channel. Today is his special interview day with us.
Yes, he will never forget this. He may regret it, but we'll never forget it.
This is probably the least professional interview we've done yet, Jim. This is awesome. All right.
Yes. Because, Robert's got so much stuff, literally. So those of you who don't know, Robert's Guitar Dungeon, which is a YouTube channel, has 8,000 subscribers, growing and going strong. And Robert, each week, at least once a week, uploads a interesting and sometimes hilarious, on purpose or not, video. And so I'm going to ask you about a couple of them because I got one, your 7 tips for selling your used gear, which I think is your newest one. I definitely want to ask you about that one.
I think that one went up Wednesday, but yeah. No, I'm sorry, it wouldn't go up yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. I upload 2 a week. So
yeah. Okay, you do 2 a week because I see Why I Hate the Metal Muff, which I thought I was busting up, not laughing at that one.
We got to talk about that because I had a metal muff and I have some very strong feelings on that pedal as well.
He just plays it and goes, "See, this is awesome video. Look at the shit tones."
You know why I did that video? Because about, I don't know what it was, 6 months or so ago, I did a video entitled, 7 worst guitar pedals ever.
Right.
Have you guys seen that one?
I think so.
That is one of the more popular videos on my channel. I don't know about popular, but one of the most viewed.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was 3 pedals in that video that people absolutely lost their minds over that I did in there. The metal muff was one of them.
Yeah.
And so, the other ones being the Fuzz Factory and
the Fuzz Factory. That's the one that I saw, and I'm like, it depends on what you're using it. Depends on what you're using it for.
Right about that.
Anyway, regardless, I've always wanted to do a video or two on a couple of those pedals that it actually show why I don't care for them. And most of the people in my circle feel the same way about the Fuzz Factory that I do. So there's not one around that I can borrow. But a buddy of mine did happen to have a metal muff that came my way. So he said, "You want to borrow this thing?" And, I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I actually do."
Well, I'm actually not super far from you. You're somewhere in Indiana, and I'm in Chicago.
Yeah,
so, and I was just down. Yeah, and I have a friend that actually lives in Indianapolis. So maybe I'll come down. And I'll bring you some stuff to try out sometime.
You're only a couple days. Only a couple hours away, man.
Yep, 5 hours, I think. Oh, yeah, it's a little less than that. It's like 4 hours. Because I get down there probably twice a year. So
whereabouts in Chicago?
I'm in Bloomingdale area, so like western suburbs.
Okay, so by the time you go through the city and get over into, if you take the route where you got to go through the toll roads and all that, it's about 2.5 hours anyway.
Yeah, so. I got a buddy who drives back. He comes to my house and stays with me every couple months, and it's usually a 3-hour trip for him because 65 is all tore up. So it's all perpetually. Yeah,
that's been going on for 10 years now.
That's nothing new, right? So
yeah, we have the same thing. The intersection. I know you don't know the road, but 64 and 264, 2 of the major local highways, we're talking 8 lanes, converge in this one mess where each one gets 1 lane to go the other one. It's like, here's 8 lanes, you can get on this 1 lane road to try to, and it's really curvy. It's not like okay, we'll just have you shoot over to it. No, you have to come you're going east both times, so you got to come all the way around. Come all the way back around.
You know what that is? That's one of those things that people who make highway designs and stuff all over the country. People look at highway designs and say, "This is what we don't want."
Right.
So before we get any further, I'm going to do the house.
Terrible road design.
Yeah, I'm going to do the housekeeping here. So, and this is probably the best time to do it, you know?
Yes, it is.
Are you a regular listener? Why not?
Yeah.
Subscribe to The Practical Guitarist using our chosen, or your, not our, we don't care what you use, your chosen podcast app. Take the time to put in a review at the service where you found our podcast, like iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or Google Play. Get involved. Find our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Practical Guitarist. And if you'd like to reach out to us directly, you can do so at questions@practicalguitarist.com. Follow us on Twitter at PractGuitarist. And if you'd like to look up Robert's show, you can find him on YouTube as Robert's Guitar Dungeon, all one word.
Yep. Or you can
Yay.
just search it as Robert's space guitar space dungeon. It still comes up.
Yeah. So back to the seven pedals video. What's the third pedal of the three that gets you the most shit?
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
David, you're cutting out a bit.
Oh,
Say it again.
what's the of the three pedals that people give you crap for in the 7 worst pedals video? What's the other one? So the Fuzz Factory, the Metal Muff, and
Metal Muff, and the third one that people didn't get quite as bent out of shape about this one as they did the other two, but the Mad Professor Golden Cello.
yeah, I don't know anything about that one. So
It's weird. It's like an overdrive with a delay in it or something. I mean, it's just, and I get what the design is. It's it's meant for single notes, soloing, that that kind of stuff. But as soon as you hit a chord, even a 2-note chord, it sounds like absolute garbage. And which is why I started calling it the Golden Shower pedal. So.
Well, at least the name is funny.
All over.
So we were talking about the Fuzz Factory. Now I gotta go back to this one because I had a Fuzz Factory for a while, and I don't know, I actually kind of agree with you to a point. So the Fuzz Factory itself, it's based on a fuzz face circuit. We're all familiar with fuzz face. We've all tried one at some point. And the fuzz face, the whole thing about it is it cleans up with the volume knob. You cannot do that with the Fuzz Factory because it's a boosted fuzz face circuit. So there's another transistor in there, and that's why. And that, in my mind, yes, it makes it cool. It can squeal and do all this crazy stuff if you're into that hipster sort of noise rock stuff. But as far as being usable in a regular context, no, not that pedal.
No, not even close. And the comments that I got, for all for some Fuzz is all of a sudden seeing this huge resurgence in popularity right now, which I'm sure you guys have seen. And I'm not a fuzz guy. I'm not a fuzz guy. Regardless, for those that are, the Fuzz Factory is, getting this huge resurgence, and the things that the things I kept seeing recurring over and over in the comments regarding disagreeing with me on that were things like, Matt Bellamy, Muse. These guys must use it, so that makes it a great, a great, whatever. No disrespect to Matt Bellamy or Muse or any of that stuff, but so they kept telling me that. And the other thing that people kept saying, well, it's just a Fuzz Factory, or it's just it's a fuzz-based circuit. All you have to do is turn the stab knob all the way down.
No, it's not. No, I have one. No, it's not.
Well, and even if it was, why would you? Even if it was just a fuzz face, circuit, and everybody's telling you just to turn the stab knob all the way down.
Why have the stab knob?
Why is it on exactly?
Yeah. Why?
So the genesis of that pedal, and it's funny because a lot of people don't seem to understand this, but that pedal actually was born out of a Zoom pedal. Zoom did their analog pedal line back, I want to say around 2001-ish, and they had a pedal called, I want to see, and I'll probably post it in the show notes because I'm probably going to get this wrong. I think it was called the Hyper Fuzz. And it was the same concept. It was a boosted fuzz face that gave you controls for each of the resistors in the circuit, so that you could continuously create your own sound. And that was kind of like the idea behind the Fuzz Factory. So he didn't do it first. He refined that circuit, which is really funny. The pedal that made ZVEX famous did not come just from his brain. Other people were doing it first. So.
Yeah. So, well, regardless, I don't care what how you got all the knobs on there turned. I absolutely can't stand it regardless. I think it's the most, it's like plugging into a, 50 transistor radio or something.
Yeah.
And
So
it's hideous.
Because I got Jim here on the line, you watched my fuzz video of what I did with the Band of Gypsies fuzz face, right? And was that what you were expecting to get out of it? Like when I rolled back the volume and it's like really kind of more like a distortion than it is a fuzz?
Yeah, what I liked was actually when you rolled back a little bit, you did that piece, and then you played the Hendrix chords. I actually thought that was closer.
That's exactly
in my mind. It was closer to what Hendrix was doing.
That's what Jimmy did
when it was maxed out.
He didn't play it maxed out. He rolled the volume knob back.
Yeah.
So anyway, just a little thing. If you haven't seen the video, you might want to check it out. I basically did what I did was I played not the Fuzz Factory. I played the Band of Gypsies fuzz, which is actually not a dyed-in-the-wool fuzz face. It's a very similar circuit, but it's not 100% accurate to what they would have been like. And so I got it tweaked, basically fuzz knob all the way up. Of course, you play it with everything turned up on the guitar. It just sounds like molten ass. But if you dial, but that's the thing. Like, all right, you want your amp to sound like it's going to blow up? Get the fuzz face out. Like, that's what you're going to do with it. And then you roll that volume knob back, and you can get those classic rock tones that people have been after for years, and it's really not even that hard to do. So I'm a fuzz face guy. I'm a fuzz guy too, to an extent. I don't like every fuzz pedal under the sun. I think a lot of them are really unusable. But the ones that are usable, those are the ones that end up in my cabinet. And so I bought a sun face just the other day because I'm like, I want to, this is supposed to be the most usable fuzz face there is. There it is.
As fuzz pedals go, I mean, the fuzz the fuzz face circuits are probably the ones that I get along with the best, even though again they're still not really my thing. But I like those a lot better than I do the muffs. And
let's talk about that metal muff for a minute, because I had one of them too. So
we can talk about
the metal muff.
I had the metal muff.
Who didn't think it was about a porno in like science fiction? The metal muff. I mean, come on, what is this? When did they come up with these names for this thing?
Don't look at me. I
don't know. I'm just saying.
You know where I think the name for this one came from? The big muff being Electro Harmonix's. That's their cash cow and all that. And and this pedal, I think, when it came out, the Metal Zone had been around forever, and regardless of what people think about the Metal Zone now, as much heat as that pedal gets. When that pedal came out in the 90s,
it's the only one that did it.
That thing was the shit, dude.
Yeah.
That pedal was the shit when it came out in the 90s. That was everybody's distortion, including mine.
Yeah.
So
I almost bought one.
So I still have mine. So Boss has this huge corner of the market on metal distortion pedals that EHX didn't have anything to compete with. So and I don't know. This isn't just speculation on my part, but that's why they came out with the metal muff, and they stuck the muff moniker on it for marketing to make sure it sold. And here we are, even though it's not even remotely close to anything muff.
So here's my impression. So I had the one with the top boost, right? So it's big enclosure, 2-foot switch.
Big one with the 2 buttons.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So without the top boost on, I felt like it was trying to be something it's not. So I don't know. I'm assuming this circuit is rat based, and that they've done like a lot of work to get it clean and like to make it more metalized and less like classic sounding. And then the top boost circuit, when you hit that, it was just like turning on a wah. It's like what the hell? What the hell is? And the whole pedal's voiced that way. It's like you're playing through a wah pedal. So. And I've seen that with some other metal stuff too, so I kind of shy away from those kind of pedals. Actually, my metal pedal of choice is the Ibanez Smashbox, the SM7. It's a gray box, one of their gray box pedals. No, built-in gate. It's muscular as hell. It's got a lot of low end, and it's very like thumpy. And then it's got a really good treble control, and you can play metal with a Strat with it.
Mm-hmm. My favorite fuzz pedal is the DS1.
We're talking about fuzzes. We're talking about distortions.
I am. I was talking about a fuzz. Oh, you're talking about distortion now?
Yeah.
Well, in distortion, I don't know. There's so many good distortion pedals. But honestly,
it's easy to point out the bad ones, though.
Oh, you can definitely point out bad ones. The DS1. That's why I said it's a fuzz pedal.
I know people hate the DS1 so much, but you can't. No, but you cannot deny that certain people have gotten great sounds with DS1s, and Steve I, Satriani's used one on pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. And there are other guys in that genre too. And the thing is, they aren't using them like everybody thinks they are, where they're like turning the gain all the way down. The gain's at like quarter of the way up.
Right.
So they're actually getting some grit out of it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that thing gets gainy fast. I mean, you guys both owned one, right?
You don't need to go any further than noon.
And that thing is like, it's right in your face, distorted.
Nowadays, the older made in Japan models from the 80s, though, those were a little bit more. I mean, the gain was still there, but the control was a little bit more linear, and it didn't just take off on you when you hit 9 o'clock.
You know what freaking distortion pedal I hate? I don't know if it was on your number or your 7 list, but it should have been. It's a damn Mojo from TC Electronics.
Did you really?
Yeah, I bought one of those for $50. I hated it.
Yeah. It's an overdrive for one.
Well, but yeah, true.
the dark matter that came out at the same time, that's the distortion equivalent.
Is that any good?
I actually really like both of those pedals, to be honest.
I think the dark matter is real popular. The problem with the Mojo for me was that, of course, it's supposed to emulate like a Marshall Plexi, but it doesn't roll off any of the highs. And
it's awfully dark sounding to emulate Marshall.
Right.
It is dark sounding. So.
All right. So before we get too much further, we've got to ask you on camera here. Those guitars behind you and those amps behind you.
It's not a green screen.
Stuff,
it's not a green screen.
It is.
And that is not a green screen. Reach back there and touch one.
Oh, here, you want? Can you guys?
Yeah, there you go. I see it moving.
There you go.
Well, there's my Schecter that you guys see in most of my pedal demos.
Yep.
Let's see. What else we got? You guys will get a kick out of this. 1984 Kramer Focus.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
This was a recovery from a friend's attic a number of years back. Literally been sitting there for 20 years. Let's see. 1985 Hamer Scarab. Scarab Dude Pacific. Because I had the toothpick cup thing. So, yeah, these are, no green screen behind
They're actually really up there. So he's not nicking the States then.
Yeah.
No, these are legit.
and the thing is, so you used to work at Guitar Center. Did you get that from like when Mars Music was going out of business and you grabbed that? I mean, where did you get that wall? Because, I mean, most of us are doing what I'm doing behind me. You've got a wall of like
actual hangers.
No, it's just standard 4x8 slat wall, which you can, slat, that's what they call it, slat wall, which comes in 4x8 sheets. You can buy it at Lowe's. Cost about, I think I paid $48 a sheet for it. So
I should have done.
That's not bad.
So I've got
how much time I put into this.
Well, if you want your place to look like a guitar store, you're gonna have to put in the extra effort to go into Home Depot and get the slat wall. But I think what you did too is just fine, Jim.
Because we get those hangers, you see them at Guitar Center. Those are the ones with
you can buy them for Sweetwater.
Can you?
Yeah.
The hangers?
Yeah.
The ones I got in here, I think most of them came from Amazon, to be honest. But yeah, they're readily available. You can order them anywhere. Musician's Friends, unfortunately, does not have them on their site anymore. But
Sweetwater does. I saw him the other day.
This guy's now he's like, oh, Sweetwater, oh, I love you so much.
I got a rep over there that knows me by name and actually knows who I am. So
that hive mentality. They gave everybody Kool-Aid while they're there. You will drink this Kool-Aid.
No, it was water. It was poisoned water, but it was water. They poisoned the well.
Right.
So Jim, now you used to work for Guitar Center, right?
I was an assistant manager at the. I'm going to adjust my camera here for a minute.
Oops. Okay.
Yeah. Thomas Blue just carried his all the way around the house. This is fine.
Thomas almost dropped his in the streets.
This is fine. Yeah, he was leaning over his balcony taking shots of his car outside. It was quite amusing. I was like, we don't have insurance.
Well, there we go.
There we go. Yep.
There we go. You still with me?
Yeah.
That's it. You all right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, we're good. Yeah, I was actually an assistant manager at the Indianapolis for about 6 years. Okay. And, I loved it. I loved working for GC, and I loved everything about the industry. I just I love the guitar business, just like it's like we all do. Which is when I left the business back in 2014. I will say the last 6 months that I was at the store, the room, this room looked pretty similar to what it does now. And the door to this room was closed for the last 6 months that I was there, and didn't come in here hardly at all, just because I was just burnt out, and the direction that and there's still talk about all over the place, the direction that not the company but the entire industry is going on.
Yeah,
I just got burned out. So after being away from it for 6 months or so, I was so you know what? I probably got $40,000 worth of gear in that room.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time we start doing something with it. And that's how my YouTube channel got started. And I'm actually, just on being transparent with you guys, I'm actually back in the business again, working for a musician's friend. So,
okay.
So I don't talk about that on my channel very much, just because I like to keep the two entities separate. But and I'm absolutely thrilled to be back doing what I'm doing. So,
right.
I got to ask you. So a couple days ago or a day ago, you put up a video called 7 Tips for Selling Your Used Gear You may not want to hear. And I'm going to, I did comment on there, and I'm going to kind of go over that a little bit. That you talked about the used gear, and I want you to talk about that, because I think everybody forgets, whether you're in the video game industry, I was in the comic books and cards industry, anything that's kind of collectible like that. Obviously, guitars, pedals, cars. Everybody wants to yell at the place, "Oh, when I trade in, I get a crappy deal." Well, unless you're going on concession, which some stores do consign, you are going to, and even then, you're still going to take a hit. But you are going to take a hit. And like you said, sometimes you take that guitar, I don't care what guitar it is, I don't care who made it, when you take it off the shelf, 99% of those guitars lost 30 to 40% of their value the minute they walked out the door. As the direct return policy is gone, you're going to lose. And that's in anything you're trading. I don't care what it is. You take home the Marvel Universe movie and then go to sell it, and you're going to get, pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. Yep. That's just like, so you get the same thing that people will complain about everything. Even with cars, they drive them off the lot. Everybody knows they're going to depreciate right after you drive it off the lot, and they still complain. Oh, my car's already depreciated this much money. Well, it's like, first off, why are you trying to buy another car right after you just bought one? Somebody made a bad decision. Don't blame the car industry because you made a bad decision. Like, right. I get that whole thing, but to apply it to guitars and make out like that's a separate thing, like guitars shouldn't lose value like that. Listen, what other item do you own other than gold that doesn't drop in value when you buy it?
Exactly. And I don't care if it's guitars or, or your microwave in your kitchen. It's, everything depreciates, and that is, let's call it what it is. I mean, it's capitalism at its finest, right?
Yep.
That's how businesses, continue to get more money out of you. By coming out with new products, and and as new products come out, some of the old products that we have are obsolete. Things like that. And but the reason why I put up that video is because it's some of the comments that I still get on some of the older ones that I've done on similar topics related to used gear. I get people. One guy commented, and oh god, this if he were standing in front of me, I'd have punched him in the throat for being so stupid. Because he went on this rant in 4 different spots on this thread, about Guitar Center, and so I and usually when that happens, I will either try to offer up a perspective from the other side of the counter, or ask a couple more questions, because there's obviously some either some details being left out, or I just want to make sure that I'm understanding exactly what happened, because I don't know about 90% of the time, but 80% anyway, when somebody's ranting and raving about something that went bad at Guitar Center or any other place, there's usually a few details that are being left out in my experience.
Sure.
And so what had ended up happening after 4 different comments in the same thread, like I said, is he was all pissed off because he tried to return an amp or something that he bought 60 days after he bought it, and was complaining it was only 15 days after the return policy, and Guitar Center are a bunch of shysters, and yada yada yada, and so finally I was like, Guitar Center has a 45-day return policy, which is the longest return policy in the industry by 2 weeks, and 45 days is 45 days, 60 days is not 45 days. And, meanwhile, and there's people, he's just going on, and, anybody can get to listen to him.
Well, of course, because
right about, trying to make Guitar Center the bad guy. And, and unfortunately, there's enough of that's going on that, it's kind of hurt their reputation. And I'm not saying that they're not completely at fault. They've made their mistakes. Yeah. But the entire industry's made a lot of mistakes right now. So two sides to every story.
It's always gang up on the big market retailer too. And I've said my piece about Guitar Center on the show. I'm sure you've probably heard some of my rants. Like I don't necessarily have anything against the people that work at Guitar Center. My bigger complaint is I think that the company had a lack of direction for like 3 or 4 years where they didn't know what to do. And now they've kind of figured it out, but it may be too late.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. So I was in Albany, New York, and Guitar Center in Albany, New York has done what our Guitar Center is looking at doing. They've instituted lessons. That's really what's saving. Everybody talks about the mom and pop. They're always like, "Oh, if my old mom and pop."
And their thing is they sell lessons. I bet you they do.
Yeah, most of the mom and pop. That's how they survive.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing I try to explain to people is, the mom and pop shops don't get by on selling gear. I mean, they get by on lessons and repairs.
Yep,
and
right.
That's their bread and butter.
And the mom and pops didn't give you any better deal on your guitar than Guitar Center does. Guitar Center is offering you 60% typically 60%. I had mom and pops. I'd walk in with a piece of gear, they wouldn't even look at it. At least Guitar Center would take it. Yeah, because their audience, for the most part, are going to be relatively local. And the other point that I wanted to make is people forget that, and you, I know you know this because you were talking about that flying V2 that you guys had on the wall, and I was like, oh, if I had only known, I'd have bought that. I'd have bought that thing like that.
That was a kick-ass guitar, man.
I had one in the original. So mine was like a year old. They couldn't give those things away back then. Yeah, so in 1983, we're talking about a 1980 to 82. That was the only 3 years they made them. Gibson Flying V2. And if you guys look them up, you'll see why they're kind of weird.
Yeah, they had those weird V-shaped pickups and the scalloped bodies on them.
Yeah, the scallop body. And it was really gorgeous. I mean, the guitar itself was gorgeous. Weighed a ton for as small as it was. And but that would have brought back my childhood. That would have been my first few months in the Navy was playing that guitar. So I was like, geez, I could have got one. You said it was a mint condition. I would have.
It was. I mean, it's tough to classify what exactly a mint condition would mean on a guitar that old, but it was really clean. So
that's what I would have bought it in an instant. But people get. I bought that guitar for $500 in 1982. Now, if you throw $500 into a CPI, and see what it comes up to today,
right?
It's going to be about $1,200. So really, it didn't appreciate all that much. But the guitar it depreciated like that when it first came out. And I get that is, so I walked into one store up in upstate New York, and I bought this. I wish I still had it because I love this bass. It was a 4-string PV Millennium, but it wasn't a BXP. It wasn't made overseas. It was still when they were making them in the States. Yeah, and it had a hip shot drop D tuner, right? So it was beautiful bass, and it was a Tiger Eye. And I walk into the store and I go, "Is that price new?" And it was like $3.99 or some ridiculous number like that, $4.99. And the guy says, "Yeah, it's brand new." And I said, "Is that a real price? I mean, you guys really only want that much?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "That's like $700 off." And he goes, "Yeah, we can't give it away. I mean, if you want to buy it, go ahead and buy it." He goes, I wish you'd buy it. And I bought it. I went to a Guitar Center in Texas, same guitar, full price, and it sold while I was there. So it's really got to do with your area too, in that sometimes things are really wanted in that area, and other people are like, I don't want that.
Yeah. Well, that's that. The V2 we had. We sold that guitar, and I was actually, Dave, I was up in Chicago probably 6 months or a year later for Chicago Music Exchange, and they had another one just like it.
How much they want for it there?
$3,000?
Yeah, probably.
It was like 30. It was well over 3. I mean, it was like
that's why I said I would have bought yours in a second.
Yeah. So now I don't know how long theirs have been hanging there, but it was.
So let me for audiences not familiar with Chicago Music Exchange, you've never been in there. Chicago Music Exchange, and I tweeted at him today because they had this thing about the price of guitars and where the costs are actually at that they published. It went out on their Twitter, but I tweeted at him. I was like, "All right, fine. If what you're saying is true, you're saying that the local mom and pops and your other music stores are getting a 50% margin. There's no effing way." And then
that's just it.
And then I part of the tweet, I'm like, "What about your sister company?" I mean, because that's Reverb that published this article, but CME, I mean, they don't sell anything new in that store for any less than $500.
Right.
So it's like you guys are basically setting your own bar there, and they're notoriously expensive, even on vintage stuff. Very little haggle room. But that being said, if you need a place where you need to go try out a bunch of 70s Les Pauls and pick one, that's where you go. I mean, they're gonna because you've seen that wall. I mean, they have basically what year do you want?
It's a beautiful store.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've never been in there, it's just to go in and look around is worth the price.
But Reverb's what's making all the money.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet on that one.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everybody's talking shit about Reverb. Reverb is really just a low-priced. What did I mention earlier? Where you bring it in, you consign it. You're consigning
it's exactly what
Reverb.
It is.
Right. It's consignment sales. And all they're doing is they're brokering the sale, right? And they're giving some protection to the seller, some protection to the owner. We've all heard Reverb horror stories too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I could tell you some that would make your skin crawl, but yeah.
So, I mean, what do there's no perfect thing. You're going to put a guitar up for sale. You're going to have this much money you expect to get for it, right? We go into a store. I paid $1,900 for that, or $2,000 for that CE hanging behind me.
Mm-hmm.
It's now on sale for $18.99, and I've seen the exact same guitar hanging used for $12.99. So you can't expect to grab a guitar or an amp or whatever, bring it home, and get your money back that instantly. It's not going to happen.
Well, but you and I look at it as a that's the rental fee anyway.
Yeah. What's that one that you mentioned, Robert? There was one you mentioned that was like a Kramer or something that they heavily. I don't know if it was Musician's Friend or whoever that heavily discounted it and flooded the market. So the used market was even higher than a new market. You remember which one I'm talking about? It was a great example. It was like the used market was like at $300 or something, and then all of a sudden they flooded the market with $250 versions of this thing.
It was this guitar.
Yeah.
Charvel Desolations.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because when I bought this guitar, I was still at the store when these came out, and if you guys remember, these were in all the magazines and all the
right.
Every time you turn around, Fender was plugging this, the Charvel new Desolation series guitars, and I remember when we finally got a hold of them, this particular model, this is the Skatecaster, but the SKT, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, this is the upper end one with the neck through and the EMGs and all that kind of stuff. So, and I remember playing this guitar and I'm thinking, man, there's really a lot of guitar for the money.
Yeah.
So fast forward, a year or two later, and I've left the business and doing something else, and this thing pops up on a stupid deal of the hour for $199.
That was a
regular price on this guitar was $649. This thing pops up for $199. So naturally I jump on. I'm on the phone. I got my credit card out. Here we are today. So I'm thinking, man, worst case scenario, if I need to sell it, I could probably sell it, again for $3, maybe even $4, make a couple $100. This is a fantastic deal.
Yeah.
And then a year later, I go to look them up on eBay and see what they're and everywhere else, see what they're selling for, and they're barely bringing $200-$300 just because.
Yeah, because it was flooded. The market was flooded.
Everybody.
I've seen that happen with other guitars too. The used prices on the GNL, the ASATs, even the tributes, the ones that are actually made in Indonesia, Korea, or wherever, depending on what year you've got, the higher end ones, because Musician's Friend, it's not Musician's Friend, I think it's Guitar Center, has the stupid deal of the day model that they sell occasionally for I think it's like $350 or $400, and that one is not the same as your typical ASAT. It doesn't have the same bridge and stuff, but because that guitar exists at $399, it's driven the price down on the used market, so you can get a used ASAT for like $275.
And that one goes on sale often. They have that
once a month
of the day. Yeah, well, at least.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
As soon as you think you got a great deal on it, 2 weeks later it's on sale.
Now
again. And it goes between Musician's Friend, Guitar Center, and Musician's Friend. We all know that's the same company.
That used to be that particular instrument used to be a Musician's Friend / Guitar Center exclusive, and now it is being offered to their other dealers. So I don't know if that exclusivity ran out or what, but and I think the price on it is $375 for other dealers.
That's pretty. And I'll say that's pretty typical. If you guys remember when the Les Paul Traditional Pros first came out,
right?
The one when they had the Zebra coil pickups and push pull, they sold brand new for $19.99. I think now they're on a third generation of those, but that when those first came out, those were a Guitar Center exclusive as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the first couple of years, I believe.
Yeah. So exclusivity, short term.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it won't, depending on how well they do.
Right.
And the same is also true for Sam Ash and some of the other big companies also have exclusives.
Sure. Sweetwater does it too. They have all the satin finished PRSs and stuff that they sell. So
yeah.
So let me ask you something. You were talking about how you were let down by the industry right now, and I got to say this. So here's the thing about exclusivity, and you guys, I'm bringing it up because it's a great segue for that. So you go to Sweetwater, right? Sweetwater's got a CE, exclusive CE, right? And the only difference is instead of it being a shiny finish, it's a matte finish.
Matte finish, right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, that's like saying, hey, I'm going to Walmart to get my copy of Avengers movie because they've got an exclusive, Spider-Man thing in the corner. There's a mask for the Iron Man that I can get if I put in this Amazon code. It is silly shit.
It is. But okay. So when you see one in person, and that's what I want to talk about. So I've seen them, right? And my whole thing was like, I thought, oh well, it's still.
Hold on, I gotta have some Kool-Aid. I
was in the same boat as you, Jim. I thought the same thing. I was like, well, who would want a matte finish anyway? Because they don't wear well. But then you see them, and you're like, oh, I see why they're ordering these matte. But the thing is, you're Sweetwater. You don't have a retail store to show this to people. So what the hell is the point?
That's what my point is. That is the one, believe it or not, that's the one version of that guitar that sits on the website. You can watch all the other colors, the Trampus green and the black that I've got.
Come in and out.
Go in and out. You can see the serial numbers. So it's really cool that you can do that. You can look at serial numbers. That flat black, that just sits.
Yeah, and the flat colors, the sad thing is they look great. For certain people, if you're a collector, I'd get the flat color.
Well, there might be some truth to that, especially 20 years from now. But at the same time, who knows?
You're always taking a risk as a collector, anyway. So,
well, sure, if you're buying something for long-term collectability. But the thing with PRS players, and I think both of you guys can probably account for some of this, or at least understand what I'm alluding to. But PRS players is a big attraction to why those guys love PRS guitars is aesthetics.
Yep. Yep.
PRS, no question about it.
PRS and Taylor, for some reason, those two brands, you don't see too many of those guys that just totally beat the shit out of their guitars.
Right.
Those guys treat their instruments like they're absolute gold. Yeah. So, and to your point, Dave, a matte finish on a PRS, just it's like it's like a Harley Davidson guy. It's like a Harley Davidson guy. The one any true diehard Harley Davidson guy, none of them are going to go buy a Sportster.
Right. Right.
Even though that was my first Harley. Okay, so
but that's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point. That's the entry level.
Exactly. So, we talk about that. There's certain things, go back to your used things. There's certain things you're never going to get out of your guitar. You're never going to get upgrades out of it. And it's interesting you brought Harley up because it's the same thing they tell you when you go to bring a Harley back and you try to trade it in. They're like, nobody cares that you got skull whatever on
or your chrome exhaust tips,
Nobody gives a shit because guess what? They're going to put their own stuff in there.
Yeah, as it sits, it's customized to one guy one guy on the planet, and that's the guy that's trying to sell it to me right now.
Right.
So while of course you can't come out and say this to people when you're standing on the other side of the counter, but I don't give a shit what kind of improvements you made to your 2006 made in Mexico Strat.
Yeah, I mean, I've had guys, especially at mom and pop, say like, "You got the original parts to throw in the box," and it's like, well, all right, I kind of get it.
Yeah,
it is what it is. So main thing is don't modify something that you're going to sell.
Right. Take out those modifications. If you want to get your money back, take them out and
put them back to stock. Exactly.
Well,
put them back to stock, and it's unlike an import guitar like that. Nobody's going to really care much about solder points and things like that. But but down the road, on an American-made instrument or a high-end Japanese instrument, those the little things are going to matter, and that includes whether or not the solder points are original. So
hopefully we have enough vintage instruments in this generation that's never going to be an issue for stuff that's like 90s era and later. Because let's face it, back before that, it was a lot more rare to find certain guitars than it is now. And how many Epiphones come off the shelf every day? How many Fenders come out of the factory and end up in store? Like, you know what I mean? It's just, there's a lot more going on now. And hopefully people are taking better care of them and they don't end up on the scrap heap, because that's what builds that value.
Right.
So
yeah, some of them are, that's another thing though when it comes to the used market is rare does not always equal value.
Right.
Sometimes things they didn't make a lot of them because they were shit. Sometimes that's what happened. I gotta ask you about this other video. We can move away from gear a little bit. Top 14 greatest guitar players ever. I had to laugh at some of the responses people had. Oh, you don't know. You were like, these are the guys I like. You even said, these are the guys I like. They may not be your favorites, but they're mine. And then you went through it, and people still like, you're wrong.
That you had to know when you did that video that's what was going to happen. Like you had to know.
Absolutely. between the best video, the one that has attracted the most views on my channel so far is the one that I did on the worst production guitars.
Oh yeah, I watched that again the other day.
Yeah, I think I watched that one. That one made sense to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I didn't get a whole lot of most of the people that commented on that one. 90% of them were commenting because they loved my response to the reverse flying V.
The reverse flying V is one. Samurai Guitarist actually said he was hurt by. He was like, "Oh, that's my favorite guitar." Of course, he was good-hearted about it, but it was pretty funny.
The reverse V, the Poly Modern, and what's funny is Gibson has like a bunch that should be on those like 20 worst lists for those.
Girl.
Then they have the three like top ones.
What about your list of worst custom guitars? And you had the one where the guy is playing a guitar that has a teenage girl on it.
The pedophile.
Yeah.
Pedophile.
Yeah. If that thing doesn't come with a panel van for a guitar case.
Hey, I drive a panel van, damn it. No, I'm kidding.
I'm trying to remember what your number one was there, and that one is the one that sticks out the most in my head. Is that guy playing a guitar that has like a little girl on it, and I'm like, what kind of sick perverted stuff?
The same people that buy the Miku.
Yeah, who's the more sick bastard? The guy that built it or the guy that played it?
Yeah, exactly. And you look at the look on the guy's face modeling with it. He's like, look at me.
Yeah, right.
You're thinking about this all wrong. That guitar was built so that his panel van, so that he could ask people to help him load his van with his cast on.
No, mister.
That's what that was for. Can you help me load this? Can you help me move this into my van?
But to answer your question, but I've done a few of these, and it's inevitable that somebody's going to come back, and because all these videos, that's all they are. Is, that's just me sharing my opinions on a couple of things, goofing off. And quite honestly, in a lot of cases, me just trying to attract some views and generate some interest on my channel.
Sure, they're clickbait. It's fine. We're doing it too.
If any YouTuber out there tells you they're not doing that, they're full of shit.
Well, we made a video called "This Is Not Clickbait," podcast.
Podcast that was called "This Is Not Clickbait," which was obviously clickbait.
Clickbait, right? Yeah. So, I knew it was going to happen, and I didn't. I've had a couple of people that commented that they were unsubscribing over that, which
you would think you'd think you ran over their cat.
And that was my response. I mean, it's like, Jesus. I mean, I shared my list of favorite guitar players, the guys that I like. I mean, I didn't run over your dog with my car.
Yeah. I mean, if we went around this panel right here, we'd have 3 different favorite guitar players.
Probably very. Mm-hmm.
A very different list for each of us. Keep in mind.
We'd have, a list of top 14. I said, I don't think I have 14. I actually don't think I have 14 top guitar players. I had to list 14 players that I could think of. That's what I was. It was like, okay, let me see. Number one, I don't know. Jakey Lee.
We should do that sometime. Maybe it's like a holiday special. Get the 3 of us together and we'll do a 10 best list of some sort. And,
we could do
and then argue about it. It'll be great.
Yeah. So, it just, I used to say this when I was at the store all the time, but guitar players as a whole are the biggest bunch of whiny little bitches.
Yep.
Yeah, we are.
No
question about it.
Yeah, and I am one, so I can say that. But if you think about it, how many times have you run across? I don't like the way it plays. The frets are too wide. The pickups aren't hot enough. Oh, shut up.
How many times have you heard a guy get a guitar in his hands? He's like, "Oh, I love this. It's so nice. It's so sleek. It's the best guitar I've ever played. Do you have it in purple or do you have it in?" I mean, it's like How often? What are you doing with it? Like, are you Jody? Are you getting your next calendar? I mean, what is it that you're doing with this thing that needs it to be a certain color?
Right.
Well, so to go with your comment, When I was in college, I studied recording science. I have 2 years of what they call, the program is called technomusicology from the local college where I was at. And one of the things that we talked about was how, because I don't think the professor realized I was a guitar player, but he made a comment about how, you got to be careful when guitar players are in the studio because they worry about every little thing. And he's like, right down to the cables. He's like, you'll never get a keyboard player or anything like that that's concerned about what kind of cables you're using. Like, doesn't give a shit, like what brand strings. Like that never happened with a keyboard player. He just doesn't care. In fact, most of the time, he doesn't even care what keyboard he's playing. It's like,
yeah. So, the guitar players are in the realms of musicians. I mean, we're a very fickle, quite a different breed from everybody else.
A fickle bunch.
We definitely are.
I used to tell people at the store all the time. I mean, seriously, how many lead singers do you know of that piss and moan about what kind of microphone they're singing into?
I could point you to a couple.
No, well, yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure they're out there. But,
no, they are, but it's not because of a tonality thing. It's because they've learned to use this certain microphone, and it's very difficult for them to use another. And the particular case of that is the 58. A lot of guys can use the SM58, but they cannot transition to like an Audix or anything else. So,
yep. I'll be honest. So I've been using an SM58 since I can't even remember another microphone. And one time I had to use a Electro Harmonics or an Audix or something like that. Somebody was like, I was like, oh no, my 58. And they were like, yeah, we got
an EV.
Oh, it was a sound man. It was this sound man. He was like, we played this festival, and he says, oh, you can't use your 58. I said, what? What do you mean I can't use my 58? Oh no, we have to have these special microphones. He's putting it in there and setting everything up, and it was all his gear. And then, anyway, long story short, I really couldn't get the feel of where I liked the responsiveness to where the voice comes out and where the high end is, because I sing all the high parts, and it's like,
and singers use the cavity of their mouth in order to generate that high and mid range. So if they can't find it, they have to alter their technique. And
no two singers are going to be exactly the same, because the roofs of our mouths and the way our lips are shaped and the way we form vowels. Because if you go to any singing academy or anything, they're going to tell you that singing is made up of vowels broken by consonants. Typically, that's why you can have time not understand a rock singer, is because the vowels are there, but the consonants are missing.
Van Morrison.
Yeah, exactly. Van Morrison's a great example, because the guy used his voice like it was a horn. Mm-hmm. And so whenever I try to do a Van Morrison tune, like, Brown Eyed Girl, even, when he's going, into that thing, that scatting at the end, you're like, how exactly am I going to, do that? And it really is working around the microphone. And people are like, oh, he's just moving his head around. I'm like, I'm not moving my head around randomly here. This is a real thing.
Trying to get some tremolo.
Now we got to mention before we end today, because I know we're going.
We got plenty of time. We've got plenty of time.
Long before we come up to the end, though, I want to ask you about the music program that you're a part of.
Yeah, it's Share the Music, which I try to talk about or promote in all of my videos. They're an organization. They take donations of broken or unwanted instruments of any kind, and then they repair them, they refurbish them, whatever needs to be done to them, and then once they're back to a playable instrument, those instruments get donated to children or music programs that wouldn't have an opportunity otherwise to own an instrument, by their own means. And when I was at Guitar Center, my first manager, one of the first things that he taught me that always stuck with is, it's cool to sell, the high end Les Pauls, and the Fender Strats, and those are fun, but there is no better feeling than a young boy or girl that comes in with their family to buy their first guitar,
exactly.
And you know why? Because I remember 30-something years later, to this day, I still remember the guy that sold me my first guitar. And, that is a big moment in that person's life. And, to me, it's an honor to get to be a part of that. But there's a large contingent of people who will, who just don't have the opportunity to experience that.
Right.
And that's why I want to be involved with Share the Music. And my involvement with them, for the record, is just I just support them. So, the founder and CEO is a guy named Josh Paul, is a friend of mine, and he basically runs the entire thing himself. But as soon as he started that, as soon as he launched it 2 or 3 years ago, I kind of jumped in with both feet, and I really wanted to make that a focal point of my YouTube channel, and and it's done quite it's generated a few donations that I know we've gotten, like a couple of string instruments stuff, that those types of things actually have gone to the Peyton Manning Children's Hospital.
Oh, nice.
And of course, Peyton Manning, of course, is a legend.
Oh, yeah.
And but one of the reasons why he is as popular as he is, especially when he was still playing for the Colts, he did a lot for our community, and the Children's Hospital was a big part of it. Josh shared a story with me about 6 months or so ago, right after we had gotten, we just donated a violin that had been sitting in somebody's closet for, who knows how long. And there's a young girl, 6-7 years old, that she has to go to the Peyton Manning Children's Hospital every month for chemotherapy, or it might even be every week. I don't know how often it is, but she is, a young girl in that much pain, actually looks forward to going because that's her opportunity to get to play that violin. And, that's why it's important.
Yeah. So we'll, if you could shoot us over their link, and we'll put it in the podcast notes for this episode. And if any of our listeners have any instruments laying around, please reach out to this organization, see about donating.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So,
I gotta ask you, the John Petrucci.
Mm-hmm.
You did the Majesty.
Yeah.
You did the first one. What did you like? What did you think? How'd you feel?
What, both of them?
Would you buy it? The Majesty?
He did.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. That's right. You did buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here it comes. I wanted to see this, by the way. This is entirely selfish. Oh, look at that. Oh, my God.
I bought it.
Hell yeah. That is beautiful.
I saved my money for a year and a half to buy this guitar. I don't think, at least, something like that. I mean, normally I buy like 2 or 3 guitars a year. I have not bought a guitar in almost 2 years.
Jim, he's got one over on us.
Yeah, because
there you go.
I had not bought a guitar. I didn't how the hell did that thing come about?
Okay.
Did you guys take New England in the Super Bowl or something?
No. Oh, hell no. We don't. I don't even watch football, and Jim burned all his football gear. That's part of the reason why we're here.
Yeah. No, that's a discussion.
That's a whole other. Ask us when this episode's over. No, but the Year of No Gear just came about because Jim and I were talking about basically trying to be practical. And I mean, yeah, look, there's a lot of dudes that do what we do, meaning you, me, and Jim, and buy all the time, and we're buying and selling and flipping and all that stuff to get, what we want. But the reality is, you don't have to do that. I mean, if you're just playing out and or maybe recording, get your stuff set. And you know what? Learn to use your stuff. Because a lot of people just, I want to buy new. And they never stop to look at what they have and actually get the most value out of it. So
right.
Yeah, and I am not looking at this Paul Reed Smith PRS 30 head. I'm not looking at it right now.
This is an item that Jim is not going to buy, by the way, people.
I'm not buying it this week. We do our once a week. We do our what are we not buying this week? I am not buying this PRS. This PRS 30 head.
I don't want any part of this game.
This shenanigans. I don't blame you.
but
you know what? All right, so let's do a status update on this because you're a listener to the show, so you know we've been doing this for a couple weeks, or actually we're going into week 2. It's not been hard for me. Like, I'm not looking at things. There's nothing I'm jonesing for. I got pickups coming, which were ordered pre, and then I've also got my Sunface coming. That's pre, but like I'm not even thinking about those items right now. You know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about learning these Jimi Hendrix tunes that I'm learning to sing right now. That's what I'm worried about. Jim, I know you're looking at various guitars. You're sending me stuff throughout the week. You're like, man, damn this year of no gear. You know, like.
So, all right, let me ask you this, Robert, because you're a pro on the used guitar market.
No, here
There's
we go.
There's a guy locally who wants $975 for a Pelham Blue SG. 2018 Pelham Blue SG Standard.
$975.
$975. Don't you think that's a little high?
I do.
I do. Even at 18. I mean,
yeah.
No.
It might be a 2017. So what would you offer him? Would you go in at 800?
No.
Or would you
give him the whole story on this though. It's got so on where the neck joint's at. There's a line, and it's the typical like finish cracking is what it looks like
along the
seam,
neck pocket.
Yeah, where the seam's at. It's in the finish. It's the straight up and down line where the body joins the neck, and it doesn't go on the back of the heel, just on the sides. So it looks like, from what I've seen of a lot of the modern SGs, I've seen that as like a hairline finish crack. I have one in mine. So
probably that probably is all it is. But
who wants to take that chance, right?
Right. Things with when it comes to cracks, man,
especially with an SG.
Yeah,
man. Exactly. I mean, those guitars are. It's like this. This guitar, it's I love it, and it's lightweight, and it plays great, and it's it's all those things, but
it's not a Strat. It's not, you can't throw it in the trunk with no case and like not worry about it.
Yeah, which is how I used to treat my my precision bass. Thunk.
So
2017, 2018, even Pelham Blue. I mean, if it were me, I'd probably offer him 8. I might be.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know. If it were me, I'd probably offer him 758 or something with the crack, just because that's a question mark. And if it didn't have the finish thing, I might be willing to go up to 9 just because it's as new as it is. But even then, I'd hesitate.
So I just because we're talking about the SG for a minute and that finish crack, and like that's a common problem with SGs. So I was on a forum, and when I first discovered mine had the little finish, the telltale finish crack, right? So I went on Google and I Googled it, and I came up with this forum, and I want to say it's like My Les Paul or something like that. But anyway, I scroll down through, and there's this guy talking about, that's the weakness of SGs. The necks always break right there at the neck pocket. And then he's like, I had one fold up on me on stage. I was playing, and it just like split in half while I was playing it. I'm like, dude, come on. Cut the shit.
No way.
Cut the shit.
I got it. That is such bullshit. I got to say that I call bullshit on that. He either had been duped and purchased a Chinese copy, or because that could happen, or he was full of crap and he had. Remember when they made the Epiphone bolt-ons, and his bolts probably came loose because those things were shit.
Dude,
they were garbage.
I'm sorry.
There's definitely a few details being left out.
Yeah, what was he doing with it? Was he like pushing on it, like Incredible Hulk in it or something? I don't know. Like I'm just like, there's no fucking way. Like this is bullshit. So anyway, moving on. SGs are tougher than people think they are. Okay. First off, they are Gibson. They have the typical neck angle and all that. But they are. You can play them pretty hard, and they're not going to break on you. It's not. It's Gibson, not a delicate thing.
The people that own Gibsons are the exact opposite of the people that own PRSs. They beat the unholy shit out of their guitars.
Well, and part of that though is the finish. So mine, I baby mine, right? I've had mine 2 years, and it's already. I wear shirts that hang down over my belt buckle and all that stuff just to make sure that I'm not going to do anything to that. That guitar's got belt buckle rash on it. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How?
My PRS doesn't. I wonder about that because you know that's one of the things that Gibson is so famous for is the ability to keep that finish right, and yet my PRS does not have buckle rash.
Your
Neither
PRS does not have nitro.
Huh?
Your PRS is not nitro. That's
nitro.
why.
That's right. It's not nitro, and neither does this ESP. The let me tell you, the EC1000 Deluxe I've got.
So
none of them has buckle rash.
Those are all poly.
Yeah.
Yes, and they're poly.
I've got a faded you remember the faded SGs, of course.
Oh God.
My mom actually bought me one of those for my 30th birthday, and which is 10 years ago now, and I still have it.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been but about 3 or 4 months after, and I'm the same way. I've done this. That was like my actual first Gibson. So, I'm watching this guitar like a hawk. I'm taking absolutely fantastic care of it. And then, 4 months into it or something, I look on the back and it's just got this gigantic thing of buckle rash on it that I take, and to this day, I don't know what caused it. I don't know if it was me or if it was something, it's maybe somebody had already bought it and returned it at the store that I got it at, and I just didn't notice until then. I don't know. But.
No. See, so like mine doesn't get played by other people. One other person has had their hands on it, and honestly, you know what it is? Their finish is very, very soft because it's nitro, and so but you'll get belt buckle rash to your clothes, and then couple that with the faded with no clear coat on top, or at least very minimal clear coat. Like they polish up when you play them. Your pick will go right through the finish. That was kind of the allure of the fadeds, was that they would show all that debris and damage. But it's like, come on, guys,
Yeah. Well, at least I'll say this. So in this world of look at me, I've got a what do you call it, a wear thing,
relic,
where people are relicking their guitar so much that it's like at least it's showing some kind of relicking in a relatively early time frame, and there's real relicking. So I had a tribute, Les Paul tribute. I traded it for a different one, but actually sold it and bought a different one. But the tribute, it was already relicking where my forearm was coming up over the guitar, and it actually looked good. It relicked well. The night relic real well.
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced that my SG is going to look like a relic probably in the next 10 years. It's gonna start wearing the same way. And that's fine. Like I buy guitars to keep them and play them. I hope that I buy a guitar and I don't flip it. I mean, I have flipped a couple, but that's only because like they don't sit well with me long term, or something about them. It doesn't sit well with my rig at that time, and it's like I really need the money out of this so I can go get this other guitar. But that's the only reason that ever happens. So.
When I was at the store, we used to joke. At that time, we had a pretty large. I don't know about large, but we had probably 8 or 10 really high end Fender custom shop guitars. And one of those guitars was a Jeff Beck Relic Telecaster.
Okay,
basically
the no caster thing. Yeah.
It was it was the single pickup.
Right.
But it was a Jeff Beck Relic, and that was with an $8,000 price tag on it. And this guitar looked like it had been dragged behind a truck.
It probably was.
And we used to joke that somebody that I have a real hard time thinking of somebody that's going to walk in here with that kind of money is going to walk in here, look up and see that guitar hanging on the wall. Yeah, that's the one I want.
I'll bet you somebody did though, didn't they?
After it hung there for 3 years, we had to clear it out just to get rid of it.
3 years, because a lot of those guitars fly off the shelves up here. They can't keep. They get one and that's it. And like
see what I was saying? It's a lot to do with your area.
Yeah,
they're only a few hours away, and yet. It didn't sell.
Right. So up here, like for example, when the Yngwie Malmsteen, the Duckcaster came out, which was the same deal, like they did the new old stock, like and then beat the hell out of it.
That was an actual like a limited run. Are you talking about the Play It Loud Strat?
Yeah, I thought the Jeff Beck was a limited run too.
No, it was just a custom shop. It was a Jeff Beck signature. It wasn't the.
Okay.
It wasn't the limited collector's thing.
That you're like the David Gilmour Black Strat and all that. Yeah. And those do fly off the shelves. Like I haven't seen any of those sit.
I want one.
Those are that's a little bit different story. And those, those are generally about a $20,000 price tag.
Yeah.
Those are a little bit different story. But no, this is just a regular hang on the wall Jeff Beck custom shop relic that was $8,000. It didn't have all the the crazy extra goodies and stuff that some of those like the Play It Loud Strat and the Frankenstein and the Lenny and all those other some of those other ones that would have come with.
Well, the funny thing was the Lenny sat in our Guitar Center for a while. That's the only one.
That's funny because the Lennys didn't even get into our Guitar Center. People bought them. They had the pre-orders. This is a funny story. It went in pre-order. People bought the pre-order and then sold their pre-order to somebody else for more money than they paid. And the guitar never went into anybody's hands. And 3 people, down the line made money.
Well,
that happened with the Jimmy Page Les Paul too.
That's very possible that's what happened up here. That somebody had sold it and it was just sitting in the display case for like 3 months before they came pick it up. That's possible. So
we actually, when it came to the Lenny, I think we sold 3 of them.
Yeah, they were not that limited to run compared to the number one. When that thing came out, that was they only made like 20 of them.
Yeah, I can't remember how many of the Lenny they made. It was like 100, something like that.
Yeah, it was quite a bit more.
Yeah, but we sold one. I think I want to say Jim Irsay bought one, and another local collector bought one. If you guys know who Jim Irsay is,
no.
He's in the guitar world. He's a very well-known guitar collector. He's the guy that he owns the Jerry Garcia's Tiger guitar.
Okay.
He just purchased Prince's Cloud guitar about a year or so ago.
Okay.
Not long after Prince passed away, and as well as a lot of high-end like Beatles memorabilia, and he's the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. So
that's the name. I was trying to think they replaced the name because I'd heard the name before. Yeah, who's so the Cloud guitar? That's an interesting. And just as an aside, there's a guitar player, and I won't say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but he goes around and tells people like he designed that thing, and like, oh no, this is my guitar, I designed it. And it's like, no, dude, that's fucking Prince's guitar, and it was not designed by Prince either. He bought it because it was designed by this other dude that he really liked. And
my understanding is it was designed by a dude, some dude that he knew and he in Minneapolis.
Yeah, he's a Minneapolis-based luthier, right? Yeah.
So my understanding is it was somebody that had worked with him before, and that was the initial design, and then eventually Schecter jumped in, and they came out with a couple of different variations that he also used over the years. And
Cloud guitar's great. I want the cymbal.
That was always my favorite too.
Yeah, that would be the one.
Absurd.
So I gotta ask you 3 questions, Robert.
All right.
So question number 1: if you had a story to tell about a sale or whatever at Guitar
Something
Center,
funny.
Give us your best story that you would love to share.
Well, the one thing that a lot of people. Let me hang this up.
Sure.
That is a beautiful guitar, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, I dig the gold.
I am very, very proud to own that guitar. Worked hard for it.
Yes.
But one thing that, and this is the reason why Guitar Center is very strict on a lot of their policies. But one thing that a lot of people forget about the guitar business is there is an awful lot of fraud. There's a lot of fraud and a lot of theft. So, it's also something that a lot of the mom and pop shops, they don't have to deal with the gangbangers coming in, trying to steal, MIDI controllers and stuff like that. Guitar Center gets that all the time. So one day we had our regional loss prevention manager, what happened to be in the store one day, and his name is Bruce. And Bruce is about 6'5" and about 400 pounds, and a very, very, very intimidating man. And he's a great guy. But if there was one guy within the entire Guitar Center organization that you did not want to piss off, it was Bruce McNeil. And Bruce happened to be in the store that day doing what checking up on things, doing what he was doing. Meanwhile, back in audio, some kid back there decides that he is going to, he grabbed up, some MIDI controller that was off of the stack. I think it was, one of those MIDI keyboard controllers. We had a stack up and setting up back there. He grabbed one, stuck it under his arm, and all of a sudden just started trucking for the front door. That's a great idea, right?
He picked the wrong day.
He's trucking for the front door. So one of the audio guys that was back there said, "Stop that guy! He's trying to steal something." Like I said, Bruce just happened to be right around the corner when as this was going on. Bruce steps around the corner. The kid bounces off of Bruce and hits the floor. Bruce sat on him until the cops got there. I'll never forget that.
There wasn't a threat of a lawsuit or anything, right? I mean, nowadays if you use force at all, I mean, I hear people stopping people from stealing and they get terminated.
Well, I never heard it go that far. They were and probably still are pretty strict about not not engaging somebody.
Right.
If you're in a situation like that, to not try to apprehend anybody, and obviously that's for employee safety.
Right.
Guitar Center employees are not trained to perform citizens arrests.
Yes.
So as most retail employees in any retail organization are probably not trained to do so. So that's the reason why they're strict about that kind of thing. So, but Bruce, on the other hand, was the loss prevention manager, and I think he was also I think he was a former police officer. So,
as funny as that ended, and thank goodness nobody got hurt. If that guy had a knife, he could have made Bruce's life pretty bad by cutting him in the wrong place.
Well, he probably could, but like I said, Bruce is
get rid of that hemorrhoid.
This kid, I think, probably would have had to have the balls to pull it on him first.
Yeah.
If he's stealing a MIDI controller, chances are his balls aren't that big.
Yeah.
Well, you always see the video, on like World's Dumbest Thieves and stuff, where the kid stuffed a guitar down his pants. And believe it or not, that same guy tried to do it in the same store after he got out of jail for the first time.
Well, the thing is, like, if you're going to steal something worth stealing. Don't get a ribbon mic or something. Don't take a $200 MIDI controller. I mean, come on, dude. There's more expensive stuff in the FX pedal case than that.
There was a person that walked out the door. Yeah. There was a person that walked out of our Guitar Center. I don't work at Guitar Center. I never did, but I'm very close with the guys that are there.
He might as well.
They're really good people. And they were telling me, I asked them about same type of question. Said a guy just picked up a $3,000 dove off the shelf or hummingbird and walked right out the door with it, and nobody noticed. It was like they're like, where'd that? And this was used $3,000. So this was a very expensive guitar. And it went out, and it was like, where is that?
Just don't tell anybody you have it.
They went and checked the thing, and the guy just walked out with nobody looking twice as well.
There was actually a video at one point when when the shrink was getting a little out of control there. There was actually a video that they were showing all of us employees, about some of the things that, because they don't, a lot of times they'll come in pairs or threes, and somebody will distract the door guy, and somebody else will, while they got the door guys at the time when they still had door guys, you had the backs turned, somebody walk out right behind them with a $3,000 gifts in their hand. I mean, and it was, if you're there doing your job, you're trying to take care of customers, and it's easy to overlook that.
Yeah.
So, okay, 2 more questions. That was number 1.
All right.
Okay. Number 2. The one video that if you were to look back on, you would say, that's my best video. I like it, whether it's funny or because it had the best piece of gear. What's your favorite video? Your favorite video, not ours. And no, we won't judge.
I've actually got 3. Got 3 of them. From a gear perspective, recently, actually, the demo that I did of the Beat Buddy Mini pedal.
Okay.
I really liked how that video came out, and of course it didn't hurt that it was if you've not used that pedal, the Beat Buddy is a fantastic piece of gear, and I had a lot of fun making that video, and it just unfortunately it didn't generate the views I was hoping that it would, but maybe one day it still will. Regardless, it was I really liked the way that it came out. From the more opinionated type type videos, probably my favorites would be the worst production guitar video, because the reverse flying V, even I got a kick out of that when I was editing it. So, but the one after the end, the other one that we talked about earlier would be the worst production guitars. Or I'm sorry, the worst custom guitars.
Okay.
That one I had a lot of fun.
I am trying to remember the top one.
Bad custom
because
guitars.
It was funny. It was fun.
Like the Dick guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was in there, but yeah, it should have been.
It was. Yes.
Who wakes up in the morning and says, "Man, I got to build a guitar that looks like a giant penis"?
That guy.
Whoever that guy was.
That was the Wangcaster. That was the Wangcaster, and that guitar has been highly documented. There's a dude that actually he's buying all these like weird one-off instruments that have appeared on the internet over the years like that, and he sold it, I think, on Reverb a while back for like $6,000. He acquired it from somebody for like $1,000 and sold it for like $6,000. So,
Jesus.
There was another one. You were like, how the hell do you play that? I've got to get that one linked, because man, these guitars that you listed were just effing funny. I mean, they were just.
What, the custom guitars?
Yeah.
There's that one. Let's see. The fist guitar was pretty cool.
Yeah, you were like, what do you do? Oh, I'll just make one of these.
Did you talk about the Gorky Park one?
That's another one that's actually a ton of people have commented about. Because the one thing that I asked in that video was, why would you do that? And so many people said that that it's designed to look like a Russian folk instrument called a balalaika, which I'm aware of, but I don't care what it was designed to look like. It's still ugly as hell.
There's a reason that you don't have balalaika, balaluke, or whatever on modern records, and that's because they're damn near unplayable. Okay.
Well, even. I don't care. I mean, that guitar.
That's your thing. Like, go for it.
I think that was also somebody even commented on that video recently. Said that was the guitar that forced Kramer into the situation that basically put him out of business.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of hoping that Gibson does something with Kramer now that Gibson's going through its financial mess, that they might liquidate Kramer or resurrect the brand.
I hope so. Yeah, I agree. They're one of my favorite guitar brands. When I was a kid in the 80s, man, everybody wanted a Kramer.
I want a Beretta.
Yeah, I've always wanted a Beretta. But, unfortunately, they are a lot harder to find nowadays. So
need to bring back the banana headstock.
Hopefully, that, as well as a couple of other brands will get straightened out once. My understanding is Gibson kind of seems to be, this is all going to be a good thing for Gibson long term once they get through the headaches that they're going through right now. So
right. So what was your last question?
You had 3. You had your top worst customs. Oh no, you did say it. Okay, I got my third question for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
If you had to go back and you were like, there's one video I have up that I wish I hadn't put that up. But you haven't deleted it. It's still up there. So we can all look at what you
Let's see Robert at his worst.
What's your worst video? What's the one that you go, I wish I had done that?
Some of the real early ones, when you start out as a YouTuber, I think it's kind of
you have to find your sea legs.
You're gonna suck. So when I first started out, I mean, some of my first 10, 15, 20 videos were all terrible. But especially then, I was using this little cheap It was a Call of Duty action camera is what it was.
Okay, so like Chinese GoPro.
I have that. I have one of those.
So I strapped it up to the side of a mic stand, no lighting whatsoever. And I think it was actually on my, I decided to do the video on my Schecter guitar, and it was a bunch of me talking in the beginning way too much. The audio quality was absolutely terrible. It was way longer than it needed to be.
I'm looking at the screenshots of some of these early ones, and I can tell it is terrible. And it looks like you're kind of like in a fisheye lens. Everything's all
it's an action camera.
Yeah, it was an action camera with a wide angle lens on it.
Yeah, I have that. I got it free with like a Call of Duty. You had to buy the Call of Duty Ghost, I think it was, special edition. And it was like $20. It was on sale for $20. I'm like, a camera's worth that, and I bought it. No, the camera is not worth $20. It's not.
I think I actually ended up buying 2 of them. I still have them. They're buried in the closet somewhere. The cameras actually themselves are not bad for action cameras. They're like, if you're strapped into your head and you're doing skateboarding or something like that. But for what I'm doing with them, they're absolutely terrible.
But, strap them to your guitar.
Well, at first I tried to see if like there was a GoPro accessory or something that would be compatible with it, and there's, they don't fit. So
right, you have to make your own, right?
Yeah, so you either got to fashion something or rig something up or cut something. It finally
that's all thing, right?
Yeah, so finally I just said, screw it. I need a real camera for doing what I'm doing, and I bought my DSLR. But my worst video, probably, that's still up anyway. It's probably going to have to be that one. So I think it's like I said, I think it's God's joke that when you start out as a YouTuber that you're going to suck. So
I have a final question. So Jim and I are both embarking on this YouTube journey as well to promote the podcast. If we become YouTubers as a part of this, that's one thing. But the main thing for us is to promote our podcast. So we're doing videos, and do you have any tips? Like, I just general tips, because obviously we know lighting, cameras, stuff like that. That's obviously a huge part of it. Fortunately, I have a lot of that stuff already. But is there anything else that we could learn from you?
Yeah, the thing with YouTube is a funny thing, and it's every time I think I've got a formula figured out that that's gonna help continue to grow, then I'll go throw something together, and it ends up not working like I thought it would. Like the last couple of a lot of times, when I do those videos, worst of, and top 7 tips for whatever, those are, I do those partially because I do it for my enjoyment, and I do them because I think it's good information that I think people would want to hear, and and I also do it because those are generally ways to generate some views, and the last few that I've done haven't done quite that, but
cool.
That I think, and I kind of hate to say this, but one of the things that's kind of helped my channel take off is, don't be afraid to piss people off.
Jim and I learned that real fast.
Yeah, and I know you guys, I think you guys kind of take the trolls the same way that I do, because there doesn't seem to be any way to, or any clear-cut instructions about how to deal with trolls. Common sense tells you, don't engage with them, let them do their thing, just ignore them and all that stuff. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, another YouTuber named Russell Wells.
Okay.
You ought to check out his channel. His channel is called Riffs and Chugs TV. It's primarily metal guitar, but he does a lot of recording tips and stuff like that. His audio is fantastic, by the way. But he and I were talking, and because he gets a lot of that stuff too, and he said, fuck, I just troll back. So I'm thinking, why am I not trolling back? So I started trolling back.
There's another guy we know, Jim and I know, Ryan Burke from 60 Cycle Hum, and he gets a lot of trolls, and he just goes right back at him. It's hysterical sometimes, because he'll get a bunch of people from the Facebook group to get involved, and it gets pretty ridiculous at times. But
I've seen quite a few of his videos, and for the longest time, their channel, their YouTube channel anyway, was basically just it was a camera on a pedal and captions. And,
he was still he did the Gas and Go videos, which is all stuff that he'd already owned. He did that as a fast way to grow the channel. Like, I know Ryan pretty well now. I mean, he and I kind of gone back and forth for several years, and I finally got to meet him at Gear Fest this year.
They drank Kool-Aid together a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I got to meet him at Gear Fest, and he came out, and we stayed in the same place, and I did an episode with him. But they
hugged each other. There's a lot of hugging.
I don't remember if there was any hugging. I'm not really a huggable guy. I called him a rapist. That's when he came to the house at 2:00 in the morning, and he knocked on the door. I opened the door and I said, "Are you a rapist?"
You were like, "Could you help me move this couch?"
Yeah, help me put this couch in the back of my Passat.
Yeah. I'm kind of jealous of him because he's his personality. He seems like a great guy.
He's the most genuine dude. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, but he's his personality. He's kind of seems like kind of quiet, and reserved, and this is the gear, this is the info, and and that's about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But all of a sudden his channel's taken off, and because he's like a total polar opposite kind of guitar player from what I am. He's into the shoegaze effects and the octaves, and tremolos.
He's actually so it's going to surprise the hell out of you. His thing is surf rock guitar. And that he is, when he gets going, he is a monster at it. But it's so funny because he ends up demoing these drives and stuff that's like, I don't really use that stuff that much.
Right.
Basically what he uses is a DOD 250 and a spring reverb.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but for that kind of stuff, he's great. And I'm doing distortion pedals and overdrives and delays and high gain amps, and I'm actually getting ready to start demoing some products for Panama Guitars.
I think as far as like aside from the musicians, and I'm not saying that Ryan isn't a talented musician, but that's not what he's doing when he does the 60 cycle hum thing. They're kind of the PewDiePie of this guitar industry. I mean, Brian Wampler, Wampler
in the good
his
sense,
was popular, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. When PewDiePie was doing well,
before he started becoming a racist,
before he opened his mouth.
I could go off camera and talk about that because my son was a huge PewDiePie fan, and I don't think it was all that. But anyway, the thing that we're looking at here is that really 60 cycle hum is the first one where Ryan and Steve aren't really anybody in the guitar industry. Mm-hmm. There's two dudes. Like we are. We're three dudes.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of like becoming a part of the industry by being just two guys. And the thing that I think is important is they represent the hobbyist segment. And that's huge because so many podcasts are either aimed at the upper level professional or they're aimed at, the weekend warrior, I guess.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and we didn't want to be. I looked at a lot of podcasts before I asked David to join me. This thing was over a year in the making, and
a lot longer than that.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be another one of this. Like, I don't want to be another 60 cycle hum. They do what they do, and they do it well.
They do it really well.
Right, and why would I want to even step into their territory?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be another Glenn Fricker. I don't want to be another, Tyler Larson. I certainly don't want to be another Jared Dines. So everything that I do or that we do has got to be different. That said, we wanted to start bringing people to interviews like yourself, who are people that are doing this all the time, because we're trying to find out, okay, well, what is this all about?
You just mentioned a couple of guys that I actually follow quite a bit. Glenn Fricker and Jared Dines is probably my favorite guy on YouTube.
I met Glenn.
Have you really?
Yeah, I met him at Gear Fest.
Was he there?
You got to go next year. Just don't tell your bosses.
Well, I don't think they would have had a problem. It's only an hour and a half up the road. I don't know. I think I had something going on that weekend. It was
If you go next year, Jim and I are going to be there. Let us know.
Yeah.
We'll sit down and talk to you and hang out.
Oh yeah.
Hitch a ride with Wampler. He lives right down the road from you.
Well, he's actually down in Martinsville, which is like southwest
quite a bit further, but
Minneapolis.
I was just joking.
Yeah,
but I know he's down in the area.
But those guys, I watch their channels and follow them pretty closely. Jared, I think, is one of the most talented guitar players on YouTube right now. I think he's absolutely amazing, and plus the fact he's also hysterical. And I like Glenn's no bullshit approach to the things that he does on his channel. That guy's been a studio rat for a long time. He knows what he's talking about.
No, he does. And when you sit with him, that's what you find out immediately. It's like he knows his shit. So
yeah, so along with a couple of other guys, Fluff. I really like Ryan Bruce's channel.
Yeah, he's got a good channel too.
I like the way that he presents things. I like, who else? Pete Thorne, I think, is probably the coolest guy.
Oh yeah, Pete Thorne definitely.
If there's another YouTube guy that I would have a man crush on, it would be Pete Thorne, just because he's that cool.
Yeah.
If you have,
good looking dude.
If you haven't watched him, the guy that we love is Stevie T.
I love.
Yeah, Stevie.
Yeah,
he is so funny. He just seems like the kind of guy that if I met him, I would want to have a beer with him. I would want to sit down with him and talk to him. Same with I got to meet him in Baltimore. Philip McKnight.
Yeah, I've watched Phil's channel quite a bit too.
Yeah,
he's and his channel is his kind of, and you can see some of the earlier videos where he was basically it was just him and a video camera. It wasn't really even miking up any amps.
Right.
But he was just doing such a good job presenting stuff, and and I'm watching all of these different channels, and I kind of wanted to be something like some of these things, but some of these guys, but I didn't want to clone any of them.
Right.
And,
you definitely. So what you bring to the table, like at least from when I watch, is you're more genuine. Like those guys rehearse and stuff, and like you can tell they've got they know exactly what they're going to say. When I watch you, I feel like your cadence in your speech and everything is like very much. This is me, and if you don't like it, go to hell.
And to be honest with you, that's pretty much the approach that I take. Now, when I do a top 10 list of whatever,
you have it written out.
I'll have those, written down in front of me just so that I don't forget them. But the items anyway. But I don't, as far as scripting and stuff. And I get a lot of viewers that comment and say, you really should script your stuff out so that you don't sound like, man, you know what, take that.
No, yeah, there you go. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's usually how I introduce Jim to the episode of the night is to tell him that he is number one.
Right.
The thing that ticks me off with, about some of that, and you're absolutely right, is at that point you come across, you see a lot of those videos. Every time there's a little bit of dead air, you see a clip, you see it cut, and I think that's the great thing about Stevie T. Somehow. That guy is, who reminded me of him was from the other day, Thomas.
He's got energy, and that's what it is.
And it was just this quick wit and this incredible energy. And not all of us are like that. But then again, we don't want to come across as, let me tell you all about this thing that I've got here. I mean,
I don't
comes across as fake.
Yeah, I don't want to come across as robotic or fake or anything like that to my viewers, and and that's also kind of the reason why I record the way that I do. If you guys didn't know this, I generally have a mic or two in front of a cabinet that goes straight into a Tascam 4-track, and the Tascam is synced up straight with my camera, and that goes straight onto the video. It doesn't go through. I don't go through a DAW or anything like that, other than some minor level adjustments or something like that. That's so
that's the best way to do it, and that's what I try to do too. I got an HS8 that I run that does all my audio, and then just run it into the computer, and that's how I'm planning to do it going forward. I've been experimenting with it, and we put up a couple videos already. So
so I'm running right now. I'm running a Sony Vegas Pro is my video editor. I'm using Ableton Live as my input. And I just bought this little guy because I was running the cabinet direct, but I just bought this little guy, SM57, to throw in front of the cab because everybody's like, well, my co-host which I'm pointed to. Where am I on the screen? Where
You're
am I on the screen? So I
you're
can point in the
probably
right
going to be
direction?
over.
Am I pointing at you right now?
I think
No,
that's where you're
that was
going to be.
correct.
No, I think that's where you're going to be, Jim. Other way.
There you
Other way. You're going to be over there. That's where you're going to be when I edit this.
Yeah. So my co-host over here, he told me to get this, which is probably right. I should probably have an SM57, but I have an E609, so I might get another input channel and then run both at the same time for the inputs. And I bought one of these things because he's sitting on there with these. I have two. The Audio Technica.
Oh, look! Look what I got! Look what I got! Look, Jim.
I haven't bought any gear. That's the beauty of it. I haven't bought any gear.
Yeah, it's at 2020 and 2030. He's talking to 2035. So
I'm talking to a 2035, which is just a 2020 with like a top end cut that I'm not using, or low end cut. One of the two.
Yeah, it's a low cut.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to beta test a Panama Guitars is coming out with it's probably already out. It's a sports wall cabinet they got called the Prometheus Cab. I don't know if you guys follow that brand or not.
A little bit.
Yeah. I was actually looking at one the other day after I saw yours.
Yeah, they're fantastic amps. They're all built in Panama, the country.
Yep.
Hence the name. But they've got this Prometheus Cab, and what it is, it's got two Alnico blue type speakers and two British ceramic type speakers in it. But more than that, it's actually got like 3 different modes on it that so you can run all 4 speakers. Then on one mode, on another mode, it has 2 ceramics and 1 Alnico, and then the third mode is 2 Alnicos and 1 ceramic. And then there's a bunch of other filtering and stuff going on the inside of it, so that produces 3 true different voicings. But
that's wild.
So I'm actually getting ready. I'm gonna have to buy some more recording equipment that I don't have because micing this thing up is going to be tricky.
Yeah, because you're going to have to get 2 speakers and a room mic probably.
Yeah, at least that. So, so I'm going to need some more mic pre's and I don't have a decent large diaphragm condenser mic. So
2020 is pretty good. It's cheap too, $100.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the 2035. I got my 2035 used for $100. With the shock mount, which the
you
shock
always pay extra. It's like $20 extra or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've all got to have that. Because these days, I don't know. You, I'm sure you remember. Everybody was YouTubing just using their phone, and now all of a sudden.
The production values have gone through the roof almost instantly.
Oh yeah, and so suddenly my daughter was asking me because her husband wants to start a gaming channel, and it's like, how much money do you want to put into that, or can you put into it? So I said, you probably want $1,000 at least. I mean, and maybe 2, because you're going to want lighting. I got to get 2 lights for this room, so 2 more lights for this room, so I can even out the light on my face. And you've got to have audio. And even if you're just a YouTuber that's talking, you're going to need one of these. You're going to need a mic stand. You're going to need, a spit filter, a pop filter. You got to have all these things. And it used to be you could just sit your phone in front of yourself and record.
Yeah.
But now, and then you need the software, and you need decent video and audio editing software.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there is. It blows my mind how many, how much stuff that. I mean, I've invested a fair amount of money into my recording rig, and not a lot. I mean, not like, I don't know if you guys watch Henning Pauly's.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That I can't even fathom.
Well, but he's got a whole studio. That's his thing. Like his whole house is a studio.
Right, yeah. But he's got a good $250,000 to $500,000 worth of stuff down there. That's not including the cost of his home. That's the stuff.
Well, I mean, just the video equipment alone. I mean, he's got some hot Blackmagic cameras, and it's pretty impressive, especially for a YouTube channel that does demos with a bunch of penis jokes in it.
Yeah.
And I say that in a great way. I
love his stuff.
I interacted with him on Facebook a couple of times. Just picking his brain, asking his advice on a couple of things. He's actually a really great guy.
Yeah, he's super nice.
I really enjoy his channel. But I've what I consider, the money that I've invested pretty, substantial for a guy like me anyway. And, and I still, I've got the camera. I know how to get it in focus and hit the record button. And if you told me that if you told me to do anything else with it, I wouldn't have any idea.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but you're right. It's blown up to the point that, my little Call of Duty camera would have been perfect for it, 10 years ago, and widely accepted.
People are using production crews now. I mean, it's getting to the point where they got a guy that does nothing but camera.
Yep. Now they've got, if you look at that pedal show, they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you've ever seen, recently they changed their studio. So you got a chance they switch the camera around and they point it in the other direction. Mm-hmm. And you look at it, it is a regular soundstage. Yeah. And so they've got, what looks like the corner of a room like we have. When you turn it around, they've got track lighting and track boom mics, just like you would have to do if you were recording family comedy or a soap opera. That's what it looks like in there.
Yeah.
And so, and of course they've got which is a good idea. They've got the cameras pointing down. You see it in the Andertons videos too. You see the cameras pointing down at the gear when they're doing their shots and everything else. And of course, the camera pointing at each other's faces, and the camera's pointing at. It's just
there's a lot of work going on there.
Absolutely, there is. And it's but I guess I do get to tell people that I'm still just a one man crew and completely independently financed out of my own pocket,
and that means a lot. That's we made it really clear at this point that that's how we are too. We're not really taking money from manufacturers or anything. We do have some relationships with various people, but it's not like, hey, give me money, we'll promote your stuff on the show, and that's never the way it's going to be. So,
and we don't actually get money from anybody. David bought shirts and cards, and
came out of my pocket.
We've all bought the gear. And we're still buying recording gear. Then you've got every month the channel costs money, to host it. So it's not free and it's not cheap. And you've at least got some of the videos now where you're at a point where you're probably getting a little revenue here and there.
Yeah, a little bit of ad revenue is
not much.
And I'll tell you what, it was actually pretty. It took off in a hurry because I spent my first 2 years on YouTube, and my first 2 years on YouTube, and I scratched and clawed my way to 300 subscribers after 2 years, and then all of a sudden I had a video take off, and I went from 300 to 1,200 in about 3 weeks, and then it started to snowball from there. Finally, but it's I would really like for this to be my. To be my primary living. Right. So, and this is what I love to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're having a good time doing it too. So.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to make this as a living, but it certainly would be nice to have it start
paying for itself.
Paying, like a gig. It's at least where there's a little bit of money coming from it, and it pays for itself. Exactly.
Yeah. My advice: just forward is the only direction. And,
right.
Keep uploading and keep broadcasting and all that stuff. And, what will happen is all that stuff will all pile up together and eventually it'll snowball.
Right.
So,
it's already started. To be honest with you, it's already started. We're seeing our numbers go through the roof already. So,
hard work beats skill every time.
Yeah. And I think that's, it's a testament certainly to just keep rolling. I mean, I look at some of these YouTube channels and podcasts, and not to brag about ours, but it certainly rolled a little faster than some of the other ones that I've seen. Mm-hmm. And I think it's got to do with, number one, we love to pick guests' brains like yours, and we've gone long enough. We're gonna have to split this into 2 episodes.
Oh no! This will be another super colossal megasode.
This will be a super colossal mega episode.
Yeah.
It'll be definitely for the long rides. But we know that you've got to spend time, and there are peaks and valleys, and you've got to find what is it that actually gets out there. I mean, I look at a guy like, Glenn Fricker. We mentioned him earlier. You and I both like his channel. Mm-hmm. Dave might not be as crazy about it. But
no, actually, I'm turning it around. Like, I was watching Glenn Fricker today, so.
Yeah, I was watching it. I watched his thing today, too, the last video he put out. I watch his videos almost every week. And his thing is to use sarcasm as a tool. His sarcasm is his weapon. And if you can't get into that kind of comedy, well, then blow it out your ass. My only thing with Jared Dines, I think Jared Dines is a great metal player and everything else. I know he gents. It's not my thing, but that's cool and it's good. That said, I just thought that he handled the whole fake guitar thing a little childishly, and we called him out on that.
Yeah, I think we did a good enough job on that.
When somebody sold him an 18-string guitar or 17-string guitar.
Oh, yeah, the whole shenanigans. Go back and listen to our episode because we talk about it. We talked to the guy that built it.
Yeah, we had him on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah, I didn't know that. I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, we didn't have him on the show because he refused to appear.
But
after the controversy broke, we read a statement.
Yeah, we read a statement. We read a statement. Dines is such a big channel that he had a publicist.
Yeah, his publicist got in touch with us.
Yeah,
which I kind of thought was a little lame. I thought that he should come on and just, even if he just wanted to call us a pair of dicks and and say, hey man.
We would have settled for 5 minutes of him calling us a dick. Like, this is my guitar, and I'm gonna do what I want, you asshole. Like, no.
Right.
They know about it because I put it on their Twitter page. So.
Yeah. But I just thought, I thought it was kind of a dick move to smash it when he could have, given it to your thing. Even if all they did was sell it and buy a couple other instruments, somebody would have bought that piece of crap.
Right.
Just because it was Jared Dines' piece of crap.
Right.
And that was my point to it, is it was a piece of garbage, but, at least it would have generated a little money for something good. That's what, so we were talking about 60 Cycle Hum. They threw a guitar off a bridge. It was hilarious. But you know what that generated? How many tens of thousands of dollars did they get? They got almost $20,000, didn't they?
It's something like that. Yeah, and they got about 20 people at Gearfest walking up to Ryan going, "Are you going to throw that guitar off a bridge?"
I can't speak for what I've never interacted with any of those guys. I kind of keep my fingers crossed because I still get emails and stuff about so and so is now subscribe to your channels. I keep kind of getting my fingers crossed open that one of these days one of those guys is going to subscribe to my channel and think that I'm
it'll happen.
But
you are listening to us. It'll happen.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my thing was that when I heard your channel, I'd seen your videos come up, and I've watched them over the last couple of years. I've watched one here and there. I wasn't a subscriber, but when you did that custom guitar thing, actually, it was when you did the production guitars. I laughed my rear end off, and I'd always check whenever I saw your face come up, I'd click on it.
That one's the one that's taken off the most. I think that one's last time I looked was like 440,000 views or something like that, which for my channel is quite a bit. And generally and overall a pretty positive response. That one, yep. I expected quite a few people to get. There's a couple of reverse B owners that got pissed off. But,
fuck them.
Fuck them. They were stupid enough to buy one.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said something about Samurai Guitarist, because he actually said it in a joking way. He was like, "Oh, they made fun of my guitar," but he wasn't like, they made fun of my guitar." He was. So if you get a chance to check out his channel, he's
I've seen quite a few of his videos, and I even saw one video where he was showing off his own guitar collection, and the one he got to the reverse B, and, because he loves that guitar. And,
yes, he does.
But he's admitted that even a number of people told him that it's hideous. I didn't know if he had seen my my video or not. I'm sure it's probably crossed his path at some point, but he seems like a good dude. That's he's pretty. He's got a sense of humor.
He is. Yeah.
Well, it's been really good having you on. We're getting here close to the end of our 2-hour mark, so I want to make sure that we kind of wrap things up in a tidy manner. You, like any of our other guests that we've had so far, is welcome to come back and promote anything they're doing at any time they want. And we really appreciate having you on. Jim?
Absolutely. I enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
All right.
And we're out.